All right. So this is my little discussion post to answer the question: why do you think it's important for organizations to have a structured risk management process for cybersecurity, and how does it benefit them? Well, I think it's important for organizations to have a structured risk management process, especially for cybersecurity, because it helps them identify threats and vulnerabilities in the system. Not only that, it helps them identify different aspects of these threats and vulnerabilities that they could have overlooked in the past, and they are trying to identify new threats and vulnerabilities that may affect the system currently. And it benefits them by providing information on known threats and vulnerabilities which can be worked on to improve the overall system. Now, what this means is it helps them to improve by analyzing and specifically going into each vulnerability and each threat and analyzing what aspects of the threats and vulnerabilities they can exploit to kind of understand how the threat and vulnerability were made to begin with and how to improve on that further. And one thing that big organizations know is to create a secure cybersecurity system. You need to have a risk management process where you understand that your system might be vulnerable to attacks, and because it is vulnerable to attacks, it is also vulnerable to different things that may affect the system later on, whether that be hardware changes or software changes. These are all going to affect the system in some way. By identifying these threats and vulnerabilities to the system early on, though, you can catch various threats and also catch these vulnerabilities early so that you can better protect your system early on. That way, when a notable threat or known threat does come and it does attack the system, you are prepared for it and you know what the protocol is in place so that you know how to manage the fallout after. So risk management is all about balancing what you know about the threat and how you respond to that threat in the aftermath. Because sometimes big companies like to do this. They'll identify the threat, but then they'll fail to act on it later on, and that hurts their credibility as an institution because now they're not protecting their data. And we saw that with the Chase case, where they had a hack and all that data was leaked, and they did some stuff to repair the system afterward, but in the aftermath, it really hurt the credibility of the institution because they're supposed to be protecting your personal information. So with these organizations that have structured risk management, it's all about leveraging what you know about the threat, what you know about current threats, and how you leverage that in the aftermath so that you can come out with a system that is more well protected than when you started with. And that is a key point that that's the reason why I like the analysis approach, because you can target specific threat and vulnerability specific targets and go deep and analyze those and try and understand why the vulnerability occurred, how the threat occurred, and kind of dissect how that happened and why it happened, and then prevent that in the future, which is the current policy of cybersecurity. How can I know these threats exist, how can I prevent them in the future? And that is something that we're going to take away from this. Thank you for listening.